the Republic to fall, it already has, and you just can't see it. There is no justice, no law, no order, except for the one that will replace it.
Well, hello there, guys. Darth Christensen here. Welcome back to another Star Wars video, and I am still emotionally wrecked after those new episodes of Maul Shadow Lord, especially in Episode 8, because this is the most emotional that we've seen Maul on screen, and with how he was seeing flashbacks of him and Savage on Dathomir, or when they were boys, and then when Palpatine took him from Mother Talzin as a kid, and then he like tortured him in his Sith training. And that shit was really heavy to see, and it makes me like even more mad at Palpatine for ruining both Maul's life and Anakin's life. But the thing is that I think that Maul is slightly even more tragic than Anakin, because at least Anakin made the choice to join Palpatine, but Maul was basically forced into a life of suffering after Palpatine took him from Mother Talzin, and then of course Obi-Wan cut him in half, and then he spent years living off of pure hate with his spider legs until Savage found him, and then he had to witness Savage being murdered right in front of him and Maul, and that's what started Maul's whole like revenge quest against Palpatine that we see him continue on in this show against the Empire. And more of those flashbacks were insane. And when we saw Obi-Wan with Qui-Gon's lightsaber, cutting him in half, but from Maul's perspective, and also seeing different scenes from the Clone Wars, but with like this new animation style filter over it. It was just so heartbreaking. It was just so awesome, and also really heartbreaking to see, because as now I feel even more sorry for Maul, especially in that scene when he was looking at his younger self in the water, and he apologized to himself, and he says, I won't let him do this to anyone else.
Talking about this shit means something to me, man.
So Maul's basically going purely off of his revenge for Sidious to push himself forward even more. Or now that he's probably going to get his robot legs fixed, and so now that he can have a better chance at fighting Marrok and the Crow Inquisitors, so he'll come back and be more badass as ever. And I can't wait for next week when Maul does that Starkiller move when he cuts that ATST in half. When he cuts that ATST in half by throwing his lightsaber up through it, that looks insanely awesome. That's I love all the Force Unleashed references this show has, as with Maul obviously he being played by Sam Witwer, and also Spybot is played by the same guy who played Proxy in the Force Unleashed, and even in Maul's flashbacks, Sam Witwer played Palpatine again like he did in the Force Unleashed game. So that was just insanely cool to see. Sam Witwer's such a top tier voice actor, and I think he deserves all the awards and glaze he can get, because he's the best voice actor in all of Star Wars, argue with the wall. But yeah, seeing Maul's trauma in these last few episodes was just so heartbreakingly beautiful to see. Oh, and also I love how the show is showing the Inquisitors to be more badass than they ever were. Like Marrok was even more badass in this than he was in Ahsoka, but also the Crow Inquisitor, aka the 11th brother. He's my favorite looking Inquisitor. Just so seeing him actually be a creepy badass in his fights with Maul was absolutely awesome to see. And Maul basically only lost that fight just because his leg was malfunctioning. It was glitching. So I bet that Maul's probably going to come back and fight both of these Inquisitors and beat both of their asses. Because we see Maul later on in the timeline, and that he learns from this, and he effortlessly beats 3 different Inquisitors on Malachor. So I think that fight's going to be awesome, man. Another parallel I noticed that I think probably triggered Maul's PTSD was that when the Crow scored the Yellow Zabrak brother who saved him, and he also pushed it and then pushed his body off a cliff. That probably reminded him exactly when Sidious killed Savage right in front of him. So this show is just absolutely amazing, because it's diving super deep into Maul's character, and it makes you feel even more sorry for everything that Palpatine did to him, and now how it makes even more sense for why he wants to get the Shadow Collective back together, and basically use that as a way to fight back against the Empire. Because as at the end of episode 8, Vario gets a call from Crimson Dawn, and he tells Maul that Dryden Vos requests an audience, and I gasped and fanboyed at that so much because I think this finally means we're getting some payoff for when we saw Maul in Solo. For when we saw Maul in Solo, well, as the leader of Crimson Dawn. And so I think that Maul's probably going to get help from Crimson. In these last couple episodes, Maul's going to get help from Crimson Dawn and to help fight against the Empire. And I think that with Season 2 on the way, I think that over time, this will show how Maul's going to slowly take over Crimson Dawn from Dryden Vos. And then maybe if we're going to have even more Solo tie-ins, imagine if Qi'ra shows up in this animation, probably in Season 2 then. Like, that would be an insane way to finally fill in the gaps between the end of the Clone Wars and where we see Maul in Solo. And I think that with Maul fighting more of these Inquisitors, there's a second time, I think that this show should show how Maul lost his Clone Wars lightsaber. So, and then he had to kill an Inquisitor to build his Kane lightsaber that we see him use in Rebels. So I think that he might do that to either the Crow or Marrok, and you who's an Inquisitor lightsaber, and use an Inquisitor lightsaber as his lightsaber that we see him use in Solo, and then when he gets stranded on the Sith homeworld of Malachor. That would be such a crazy way to finally explore the backstory of that saber. Because I've always been wanting to know how Maul got to that point. How Maul got to that point after he escaped Order 66, and that's one of the main reasons why I love this show so much, because it's finally giving me answers for what I've been wanting to see Maul do. What I've been wanting to see Maul do for such a long time. And also, I think that in these last couple of episodes, I think that Master Daki is probably going to die because Master Daki is probably going to die because it's probably going to be the thing that's going to push Devon towards the dark side. Because after all those sequences because of the way that Maul was manipulating her and getting into her head, and Devon's definitely starting to question her morals and health, and she thinks that Maul has a point about the Empire, and you can definitely see that she's starting to go even more against her master's wishes, which is with the way that she stole a speeder, and she's questioning the way that the Jedi Code is operating, and this is basically a direct mirror to how Maul was manipulating Devon is the same way that Palpatine was manipulating Anakin to the dark side. So I think that Devon should go full dark side, and that could be like the inspiration that they're getting from George Lucas's ideas with Maul training Darth Talon. And I think that all throughout Season 2, Devon's probably going to stay as Maul's apprentice in this for a while. But then, and once he runs into Qi'ra, I think that Devon might end up betraying Maul, and Qi'ra might be Maul's new apprentice. Now we obviously never saw that on screen, but I wonder if Maul actually showed Qi'ra some Sith training, and when he was working with her sometime after Solo. I mean, Maul Shadow Lord takes place 1 year after Revenge of the Sith, and Solo takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. Though there's a huge, massive 9-year gap that they can still cover. So I think that with every season there should be a time jump. So Season 2 could jump ahead a few years to show Maul gaining control of Crimson Dawn and building his Inquisitor Kane saber, and by the time of Season 3, if it does happen, that could actually show Maul working directly with Qi'ra, and then finally some of the parts where we show him getting stranded on Malachor, and where he wants to finally get his revenge on Obi-Wan one last time before Obi-Wan ultimately kills him in Rebels. And I think, and I'm still holding on to the theory that Vader will eventually show up and fight Maul. But now after seeing that Maul is going to team up with Devon and Daki to fight the Inquisitors in the finale, most likely, I think that they should actually save the Vader fight for Season 2, because it's kind of similar in a way that Rebels Season 1 ended with Kanan and Ezra killing the Grand Inquisitor, but then Vader shows up at the end of Season 1 of that show, but instead of him being setting him up to be more of a present threat in Season 2. So I think that this should follow a similar formula where the Inquisitors kill Master Daki, and then that causes Devon to just absolutely lose her shit, and then she finally gives him to the dark side and joins Maul and becomes his apprentice. But then, and we will see Vader make a cameo at the end. End of Season 1, and to show how after one of the Inquisitors gets away and tells him that they failed to beat Maul and the Jedi, and Vader will be hot behind Maul's trail. And then in Season 2, who can end with Vader fighting Maul Vader fighting Maul, when then Maul barely gets away. Then Maul barely gets away, and that's how he gets stranded on Malachor. That could even happen in season 3. I don't know, but either way, Vader versus Maul is something that definitely needs to happen in the future, regardless of what season it is, because it would just be he's so poetic, and it ties back to when Maul said that I won't let Sidious do this to anyone else. Could you imagine how heartbroken Maul must be once he sees that Palpatine did this to another person, that he basically tortured and took everything away from Anakin and to turn him into a weapon of the Sith? And like the conversations that Maul and Vader would have about their similarities would just be absolutely insane. So I really hope that Vader shows up in Maul Shadow Lord at some point, because we really need to see more of Vader's Clone Wars animation model, because it just looks absolutely beautiful, and we've barely seen it from when Vader was at the end of Clone Wars Season 7 and in Tales of the Empire for a few seconds. But yeah, I just think that would be absolutely insane, and I'm just so blown away by how awesome Maul Shadow Lord is. Like, I already knew it was going to be good. Like, I already had some pre-Darth Maul love bias, but this show has just blown my mind. Has just absolutely blown my mind with how deep it's diving into Maul's character, how deep it's diving into how tragic Maul's character is, and also all the side characters like Devon and Master Daki I'm super invested in, and I'm just guessing and speculating of what I think Maul was doing in this time between the end of Revenge of the Sith and where we see him in Solo. And I think this show's finally going to show that gap, finally going to fill in that gap with how Maul's getting help from Crimson Dawn now. So I'm just super excited I'm so unbelievably excited for the last 2 episodes next week, and the fact that it's coming out on May the 4th too makes it even better. So I think this is probably going to be the best May the 4th that we have had ever since the Clone Wars finale happened a few years ago. So I can't wait to do a breakdown on that. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this prediction video for the last couple episodes of Maul Shadow Lord, and leave a comment down below. Do you think this show will show Maul's years leading up to Solo, and do you think that there should be a season 3 after season 2 so they can explore more of Maul's time and leading up to the events of Solo and Rebels? But yeah, have a great rest of your day. May the Force be with you always.
You did this to me, Sidious.
Yes, the one we've been looking for. How do you know this? He knows the ways of the Force. He's been trained to use the dark side.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.